Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Aura on Air. We're very happy to have our two special guests with us today.
We have Adi and Amit, and it's been great talking to you guys. So to continue the conversation about some cultural barriers, society norms, Amit, let's start with you. You know, you love dance. Obviously, you know, you danced at Sapa, at Rutgers. And, you know, obviously in the South Asian community, dance is not usually the path of after graduation you take, right? It's doctor, it's engineer, it's lawyer. So tell us a little bit about your journey and how you kind of had this conversation with your parents and how they supported you.
Oh my God. It's a long story because there's been so many like phases of it, I feel. So I started dancing when I was 3 years old. And growing up in New Jersey, there's like, you know, cultural festivals, there's Garbas. I'm Gujarati, so there's Garbas and there's different events that you always attend. So naturally just started dancing. My sister, I have two older sisters. They were always part of these like cultural programs. So it was natural for me to be part of them too. And that's where my love for dancing really started. But actually, cut back, my mom got me like a Krishna costume when I was really young. And I think I was 3 years old, and I put it on and I would dance around the whole house. Of course, I don't remember any of this stuff.
No, there's a funny story actually. You're skipping that.
What?
Every time somebody laughed during his performance, he would make them not laugh and restart the whole
Oh
thing
yeah.
again.
No.
I would have to do like an
Wow.
entrance. Like I would be like, I'm gonna have to go back in and restart and then
Start all
enter.
over.
Nobody laughs.
Nobody laughs.
And you know what? That hasn't changed because I said no. But yeah, so my love for dance, I guess, was very natural, or like music, I would say more. And then I danced throughout elementary, high school, middle school, college. Dance was never going to be a career choice. You know, that was not something that I even wanted for myself because I was never a trained dancer. I never took classes, you know, formally. I didn't understand the business, if there was even one. I wanted to do medicine. You know, I wanted to be in your shoes at one point. And it wasn't until like my senior year of college where I was like, I really just don't think this is going to be for me. But I had taken my MCATs and all that stuff. So I was like, okay, I gotta keep going. Like I didn't waste all these years of education. And then what actually ended up flipping was I started Atma with my friends, and it was supposed to be just a group that we could just dance together. You know, we had different people from different colleges getting together, and we were supposed to just like dance at the end of day parade or like, you know, any event that would have us.
Right.
And it ended up turning into a business because my uncle was like, no, you got to take this forward. This is where you really belong. And I was like, are you kidding? You know, I can't. But I did. And we're actually in 15 years this year.
Wow.
Since the business, you know, first.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. It's insane. Time has flown, and I've grown so much as an artist, and I've learned a lot through really just experience. But it was never something I was going to pursue. It just sort of happened. And I'm so glad, though.
And you're great at it.
Yeah. You're great at it. And it sounds like the support was already there. This was not like a struggle with the parents and having that conversation.
You know,
kind of organically.
it's so nice when I talk to people like about stuff, because then I really realize my parents are like the best. Because like, you know, it really puts it into perspective. Yeah, they never stopped me. They never said, no, you can't. When I was dancing in college, they would always tell me like, make sure you're studying, like stop all the dancing stuff, but not in a way to like not do it, but just like focus on what you're here for type of thing. But
Did you?
Yeah. No, I didn't. I have a lot of funny stories about that too, and how they found out I was dancing in college. And
do tell.
So
And that's pre-social media, so they had to
Yeah,
find
yeah.
out.
Pre-social media, so
It is great.
So I was on Sapa, but then like there was a Ross team at Rutgers, and they were like, oh, we need dancers. So I was like, fine, I'll do this competition. And you know, these practices at Rutgers, they're serious. Like they go on till like 3, 4 in the
Yes,
morning,
I remember
and then you
that.
have like an 8 a.m. class, right? So it's really hard to balance stuff. You actually don't. You just choose to go to practice and not to your class, right? So then I ended up doing the competition. It was in Michigan, and there was a huge snowstorm.
Danya Jamaica. Was it?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was. Okay. So it was in Michigan. So I went, had a blast, you know, we're partying, we were dancing and all that.
No, Chicago was the partying because that's where you live.
Michigan.
Michigan, okay.
It was in Michigan. And I lost my license at a club. that like after party or whatever, right? So I'm on the bus back. It's fine. Like it's a blizzard. Like we're going really slow. I'm not back yet. My parents called. They're like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "I'm studying." Like I have an exam because I'm so close to home. So
Right.
if I'm not studying, I'm expected to be home. You know. So I'm like, I'm studying. They're like, "No, you're not. We got a call from someone who has your license." And game was over. They're like, "We know you're dancing." It was like crazy. But now, like looking back, it's all pretty funny because it's like I was in college to dance because I'm dancing now and that's my job. And I learned so much during those days. And even from your husband, Tab, and like just everyone who was organizing these shows, it was a serious thing.
It was.
We
I
took
mean,
it really-
having volunteered at BOB, didn't have a choice. But I mean, to see what happened behind the scenes, it was a huge undertaking, right?
That's what I loved.
And the fact that they were able to create a platform where all these dancers from different colleges were able to come and just perform is amazing. Yeah.
It's like coming out again. You're a dancer.
Yeah.
But the amazing thing is that you've been able to kind of use this or transform this hobby into a career and a really amazing one at that. I mean, we had the option of I've never seen one of your performances, and then our niece was in your show this past summer, so I came to the first show ever, and I was like, wow, this is like a spectacle. It was amazing. But more than anything, I was very impressed by the fact that afterwards you had all the students that were graduating kind of share their stories, and many of them had been with you since they were 4, 5, 6 years old, elementary school. And they were literally in tears. Some of them couldn't even finish, their thoughts. And it was very, really touching to see that you guys have really like created like a family. You've given these students a voice, and you've given them a purpose in life other than just, being a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, and maybe cultivate other hobbies, right? So kudos to you and your team. I mean, you guys did an amazing job, amazing performance, and we are very proud to sponsor it and look forward to like long-term partnerships.
Yes,
Thank you for that.
absolutely.
I think we have to like give these younger kids a platform. I was given that platform by Tab.
Yeah.
And I'm extending another platform for these students. So I think they should be able to pursue anything they want.
Yeah.
So
Although I do hear you're a really, really tough teacher, though. Everyone's like, man, don't get on Amit's bad side. Otherwise, one wrong move, it's game over for you. One wrong move, and you got to start over. So that Krishna Bhagwan story is like relevant again.
whenever we have to do like a TikTok together and dance, it's like
People are like, you guys look so cute. I'm like, you have no idea.
we're fighting.
You look amazing, though.
But don't look at the other footage. The 17 times he made me redo it.
I'm like,
And like me
that's off.
dying, not able to breathe.
I can't post that.
So when did you guys meet, or how did you guys meet?
I was just gonna say, so I used to dance like for hobby.
Oh, you did? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was working for an insurance firm in New York, and I had some time in the evening. They're single, right? So I was like dancing with like just a dance school, right? Just performing everywhere and all. And then I was looking for something else a little bit more professional. And Atma, performing arts, keep popping up everywhere because they had the touring production. Mystic India, which was just touring
Yes,
all, and I was
I
like,
remember
oh, maybe I was like so ambitious. They were like, oh, they only take trained dancers. I wasn't, but I was like, you know what I have? I'm from India. I understand the lyrics and the words in the Bollywood a little better, and I could move. I still can move, right? So I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to him. And this one person, who's like a good friend, she just straight up warned me. She said, he will make you work so hard, like you will hate your life.
Why do I have this reputation?
And I was like, wow. Yeah.
I'm so chill.
Perfectionist.
This was 3 years before we started dating. So I didn't go because I was so scared. I was like, I'm not going to go.
You missed out on 3 years with me.
Yeah, I know.
Or maybe the timing worked out.
Yeah,
So we
that's
actually met 3 years later at a common friend's husband's birthday. And we just met her Lower East Side at a bar. We knew of each other. We were speaking already, flirting. I would say he would say he wasn't flirting.
I was not.
He told me like, what was that? Do you think I was in the elevator with someone? He was like, oh, make sure nobody flirts with you in closed spaces. I'm like, whatever that means. Okay, sure. Like he came to watch one of my performance, and then we just started talking, and I don't think it ever stopped. After.
Yeah.
It was very simple.
Very simple.
Yeah.
Very simple.
Yeah. Then we broke up 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
So that sounds Bollywood to me.
Well,
It was very
right?
Bollywood
You have
in that
to. You
sense.
have to.
Yeah.
Even Rocky Rani had that.
Yeah,
little
that's
bit.
what I'm saying. Very Bollywood, yeah.
And but we got back, like kind of. I didn't think it's going to be serious, but then when you realize like it is, like you don't want to miss out on that because I was 28, 27. Kind of had done the shopping around, like you know
Wow.
what? Yeah. But you know what you like, and you know what you don't like.
She found a deal.
I don't
found
do
a Groupon
yeah, I don't do
I'm the
deals.
Groupon deal.
I don't do deals, you know that.
He went through all the cheap deals, and then he finally
Yes,
went to like the
yes.
boutique.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like Zara,
that's
Zara,
what you say.
YSL. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go settle
You're
right
the
there.
Louis Vuitton. Okay?
Yeah.
The
Why do
Cartier.
YSL? I love YSL. But so I think it was very organic after the initial hiccup where we were just trying to understand type A personalities.
Yeah,
There was a lot
Both
of
of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very.
Also, like, I wasn't out to anyone. Like, I wasn't really dating guys. Like, we were like in a completely different space at that time. So we were just figuring things out. And then he hit me up again because he couldn't get enough. No, I'm kidding. And then,
It's like a family podcast.
oh, you took it. I wasn't even taking it there. Sorry. I gotta cut all this out. And then, we just started talking and we hit it off. And we've been together since then. We got married a few years later.
Well, we got married as soon as the parents knew.
Yeah.
They were like, Shadi. I'm like, okay. They were like, buy a house. I'm like, okay. Like, have a baby. I'm like, okay.
Typical.
When are you having the second one? I'm like,
Yeah.
wait a
Yeah, I
minute.
We got to go through that sequence,
Yeah.
right?
But
All
in
of
so
us,
many ways, I feel like once I met him, like I turned 30, I met him, I came out to my family, like we got married, we moved here to
was like
the
a boot camp,
suburbs. We got 2 dogs, like now we have a baby, like everything happened so fast ever since we met. I feel like I really started like living my real life when I turned 30.
Yeah.
You know?
That's
So
because, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
powerful.
And now, did you come out to them before you guys had met, or only after? And only when you were like,
after.
okay, I'm ready to take that next step, and
Yeah.
now I have someone that's gonna back me up, and now we can take
Yeah.
the
You
challenge,
always
take
say
this
that.
challenge on together.
because I was never gonna come out to my family without a person to, like a face. I wanted them to know who I wanted to be with,
Right.
not what I wanted to be with.
Right.
Right. Because I wasn't even sure at that time, honestly.
Right.
I had to figure it out, and then when I did, I was like, this is the guy. But they hadn't met. Like I made sure because I'm really tight with my family, so I wanted to make sure he got along with them.
Yeah,
so I was like introducing them.
Comes around everywhere. I'm like, okay, hi, it's a friend.
No, but I saw
like, sure.
I saw him
Like
interacting.
the cousins knew, they were like, sure, you're the
Yeah,
friend.
yeah.
I'm like, yeah. We're
But
like buddies.
I wanted to see the interaction he had with my family because I was like, that's important. If that doesn't work, you're out.
Let me ask you something. Who is going to go meet someone's family and like fight with all of them?
No, but there's but you could have people who are not. He's very
Well,
social.
Jaya Bachchan
Right.
would.
Oh my God! Yes, you're right. You are
Exactly.
right.
Right.
Exactly.
Oh, that is true. Well, yes.
Now-
so we got over that.
Now I'm assuming. So I know you had shared that you mentioned to your family you had a face. They're open and accepting. What about you? Did you have any challenges? Like, let's say if your family, again, being in India for a majority of your early years, how was their mindset in taking the news, or were they open to it as well? Like, how did that affect you differently?
So coming out, like, when you're like from the community, right? Like, well in advance that you're different. Like, you don't even know what gay is. Like, I didn't know what gay was growing up in India. It was actually an exchange student from Ohio. He actually asked me point blank, "Oh, you're gay, right?" And I didn't know what it meant. I was in like 8th grade, and I was just like, "What does that mean?" Then he told me about it, and I got really offended. I was like, "Why would you think so? I definitely like girls," and like. So I think I was in denial, or not in denial. I was in a phase where I was trying to make it work till I was in college in India. That's like 2010. Me actually moving to US was kind of me saying that I'm not going to do this now. Like, I'm really going to be who I am.
So it's like liberating for you in a way.
Yeah, it was lack of a better word, and sorry to say this, was almost freedom, because I was still a criminal in India at that point. I could get arrested for being gay.
2010, right? You said?
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, it was not legalized.
Yeah,
you
you're
couldn't be
right.
gay.
Yeah.
So it is what it is, right? It felt really like cool about it, like you're a low-key criminal, but like, you know what I mean. But jokes apart, like that's just sad. Now things are different, right? Things are amazing right
Thank
now.
God, yeah.
Thank God. They could be better, but I think from the coming out perspective, just had to come out to myself first, and then once you do that, you kind of build a scenario in your head as to what's going to happen when you tell your mom and dad. And you keep on running it, and it just gets worse and worse in your head every single time. Always ends with one of them dying. That's just it.
Yeah.
You just give a heart attack to one of them, right?
No, but it
Bollywood,
was-
and that's what Bollywood's done.
Yeah,
to us.
that's what. Yeah,
No, but it's true.
But it was not like that. I actually came out to them on phone. Nobody knows this actually. We been together for a long time, and like I think we decided we were going to tell them. And I had like I was still on H1, so I couldn't go back to India because there was some visa technical issues. And I was like, I'm just going to tell them, like, I'm tired of this. You know, you reach that point, like, and I told them. Mom was a little surprised, which was weird for me because I thought she'll be the most chill. She was eventually. My dad was like, it's okay, like, we'll deal with it, whatever it is, relax. It's like, you're telling me to relax? I'm like, oh, I had this whole documentation printed out, emailed to him, what being gay means, this and that. He's like, I know about this, you can relax. Then it hit me. My dad's boss was gay growing up. And I never realized that. And he used to tell me how they adopted kids.
Right.
Like, so he's been like exposed to the culture and like what it is, like for a long time. My mom was a little bit like, you know, oh, we didn't expect this. But once they met him, like when she was here for our wedding, she was crying the last day because she didn't want to go back to India.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the way his mom and my mom bonded, like it's crazy. Like, I think they were very close. And this is what my mom said. My mom passed away in 2020. She had a heart attack.
Sorry to hear that.
Thank you. But this is what she said. She said, I feel better that I'm leaving you with Anita. That's my mother-in-law's name. It feels like you will be fine with her. And like she's my mother-in-law.
And I see your interaction with her, you know, and
we're like
it's like
friends.
It's like you're like friends, and it's like,
she's like
it's
my mom.
amazing to see.
Yeah. So
I think they realized really fast that like it's literally about family. Like we're a family now, so that's what matters. It doesn't matter, you know, that we're two men or whatever.
Right.
So I think they realized so quick. It was
It's about love and family.
literally.
Right?
it was brief, but like that was the most beautiful interaction I've seen. Like my mom is not by choice conservative. She's like a working woman, very forward. My dad, you know, sometimes like Indian men, he's like, oh, don't wear makeup, don't wear perfume. Somehow they feel entitled to having opinion, which I'm correcting my dad. He's on the right track now.
Yeah.
But his mom actually stepped in one day. And she calls my dad Rao Bhai because that's his Rao, his name.
Yeah.
He's like, Rao Bhai, that's not your, she just said it. That's not your area where you need to tell her what to do. And my dad was
That's
like,
awesome.
my dad's very cool.
Nice.
I think he didn't realize that it's the way it's coming out. It's like, it's not right. And it's not right.
Right.
You cannot, like, that's not the culture anymore, right?
Right.
And you have to adapt and change. When she said that, I was like, I used to do that. Like, because I'm my mama's boy.
Yeah.
And she did that, and I was like, okay, that's cool.
Well, it's so interesting because we're talking about makeup and skincare and stuff. So his mom is a really good example. When she first came to America, like, especially in the South, I think it's a little bit more in the South of India, where they think like if you spend time on yourself, you are like an outcast. Like you're wasting time. Like why would you do that, right?
No,
like,
it's they just question who you are and what your intentions are.
right.
Like your character.
Your
Almost
character.
Like
You're married, you have kids. Why do
Like,
you need to?
Why do you
Why
need
do
to
you
look
need
good
to-
or
Yeah.
feel good?
Yeah.
like put on makeup or anything.
Right.
And my mom's a makeup artist, so when she came, I have pictures of them sitting down, and she was like, "Let's do a facial. Let's like clean up, you know, and let's whatever." And my mother-in-law was so into it, and I'm like,
She was
"See?
always into
She was
it.
always into
Yeah.
it, but she felt even by her own society, like,
Right.
if I do that, they're gonna judge me."
Right.
For her whole life.
Right.
Yeah.
And she came here, and she was like, she felt liberated. I think, you know, she.
Yeah, definitely.
When she
Spot
showed
on.
up to our like cocktail reception, she was like wearing her sari, her jewels. She was
had a
had
full face of
makeup.
makeup on.
I mean, she
I
loved
loved
it.
Yeah, she was my first.
loved it.
First
Wow.
rose. I used
but
to
it-
practice makeup on her growing up. My dad never knew this.
But
During
who
summer
who
holidays.
wouldn't love looking their best
Their
and
best,
feeling
right.
good, right?
Yeah.
And it goes back to just, you know, in the South Asian community, and I'm sure other, you know, cultures have their, or other ethnicities have their own, you know, issues as well. But, you know, there's a lot of traditionalism. There's a lot of, some people are still conservative. And we talked about in the previous episode about just education is how to break this. Similarly here, you know, we a lot of times will make judgments or see things that are depicted in film. And again, you guys have a huge social media platform, and you guys do a great job of just demonstrating what that change and what transformation in our community means. But recently there was a Bollywood film that you know, kind of took a different approach, and I think it kind of hit all of us in a different way, seeing it and just being like, wow, like this is really something that's more of a modern take. And I would love to hear your perspective on it, because you recently had lunch with the person who produced this film, Sapna.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this
I
because
know,
we're both like
I know.
fans. We're like both fans, and I'm
Oh,
like,
huge
I
fans.
only watch movies, you know, that are made by this man, Karan
Yeah,
Johar.
yeah.
My wife to this day jokes like, you only like sappy movies that are Karan Johar. I'm like, my kid's first movie was Karan Johar movie, so I'm like student of the year. So I'm like, look, you know, when we saw this and it just hit that, you know, it was very poignant. There's a lot of these things that we're talking about, gender norms, societal norms, that were touched upon, right?
Yeah,
So
in
that's
this
what you were
movie.
even saying.
Yeah, I mean, I love the movie. I went with my friends. I
Loved.
brought my parents. And then I actually brought my two sons, 10 and 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And they've watched, Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum. But this was a different movie because I felt like, I mean, Ranveer Singh does a phenomenal job in just being funny, but it actually depicted so many different areas where I think we can all relate to. And then also the guy side and the girl side, right? It's always like there's women empowerment, but then which is a huge overarching theme, especially for women like me who are like, we've never had a voice in India. But then, men in dance. And I mean, it was incredible.
Yeah.
And so when I brought them, and I also love the fact that it pulled so many different emotions, right? You're laughing, you're singing, you're happy, you're sad. And so I'm sitting there with the two of them and I look over and they're both crying at different times of the film. And when we were driving home, I asked each of them, I said, what part did you relate to? And here I am like, the women empowerment part. They're going to be like, yeah, mom, that was, like, go Alia Bhatt. And then literally it was very interesting. So my older son really related and was empathetic to the Jaya Bachchan character.
Really?
And I said, oh, interesting, the villain, she was depicted the villain. And he said, well, yeah, mom, if you, paid attention, it wasn't her fault. She was kind of put into this situation and she was made to be this woman. And I'm like, oh, wow. Like she didn't
How
want
old is your
to.
son?
He's 12. And then my 10-year-old, he said he was empathetic to Alia's father, who was put on stage and made to dance, and then everybody was laughing at him. And he said that was so unfair. He was such a beautiful dancer. And I was like, oh my God. Like their answers really hit home to me. But I think the film just did an incredible job. I think speaking to all of us in very different ways.
Different ways, for sure.
And so, when you guys had lunch with him, I was like a fan. I mean, we were both. I'm like, oh my God, that's so amazing. And we couldn't make it to, when he went to NYU and he spoke.
Probably, yeah.
But what did you guys think about the film? And then tell us a little bit about your lunch.
I think lunch first.
Lunch first?
we I don't think we met Karan, the producer and director. We met Karan, the father and the friend.
Oh,
Yeah.
We literally spoke for an hour just about the kids and how the whole surrogacy process was, what he went through, what we went through, who helps with the kids, mums on both sides.
Yeah.
He's very chill. Like it was just like this.
Yeah.
It was literally this.
Literally this.
Literally.
Like we spoke about clothes.
Yeah, I mean, we've been in communication for a while, but the first time we met. And what I would say is, like, as someone who loves Bollywood, I know just as much as you, Darshan, and I know you love Bollywood too, but I know he's a big Karan Johar fan.
Yeah.
So it's like, you think what you see on TV with, his fame and his notoriety and everything, you think you're going to meet someone who has all this to brag about. And then you meet him and he's the most down-to-earth, loving, chill person. And we're nobody. We're not trying to get anywhere. We don't need anything from each other. We just wanted to talk. Yeah. And it's just so nice that there's people like that who exist. Because we think Bollywood is this dream world that you can never, you have no accessibility. No one's going to talk to you. People give you, attitude, shade, whatever. The nicest, and he's a powerful man. Yeah. But he does not act powerful.
No.
And I mean that in the nicest way.
He wants to be the best host.
Yeah.
He was hosting us in New York. I'm like, you're in my city.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, what's
Just
going on?
so-
He's like, no matter where you go, I'll be the one hosting you. I'm like, okay.
So I like him even more as an artist now because I think he's such a good person.
Yeah. Right.
So
Social media paints a very different picture. As convenient, you all need a villain, right, from time to time.
Yeah.
So someone,
Right.
Jaya Bachchan was the villain in the movie.
Yeah.
Right.
He's painted like everyone goes through that.
He has
right?
power, so people think people with power are not necessarily good people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but
Which
he
is-
literally defines all your sangeet, all your wedding songs, your whole wedding vibe.
Yeah.
Like everything is from his movies.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so-
And if you think about it, it's basically our entire generation from the last 20 years. It's probably influenced all of our weddings, all of our receptions, all of our
Everything.
music, everything, right? And it's generational. So
Well, I face this stigma with my company because Bollywood in the arts world is sort of looked down upon because it's sort of like, oh, the classical arts or they're the higher level arts. But Bollywood has literally changed the way we dress, the way, it introduced me to Hindi music in general because that's
All
how
of
I
us,
learned
yeah,
it,
yeah.
right?
Right.
Learned so much of the language, the culture, watching films, you learn about festivals and different things. We don't have all of that here, right?
Right.
So we forget that it influences everything that we do all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And even how we love and even how we think, which I think is what is so beautiful about being an Indian in America for sure, because I think we sort of live in this slightly dreamy world, but I kind of love that.
Yeah.
Right.
There's like background music playing in your head when you enter.
Yeah, I know.
like, I'm like Shushmita's Tiran from Mehuna. I'm like, that's what plays in my head. Like, I don't know why.
But it should be, right?
Yeah,
I know.
But you know what? Coming to Rocky and Rani part
Yeah.
of it, right?
Yeah.
Karan's done what most people try to do it in two different forms of cinema. One is the mainstream, and one is the parallel cinema, or what you call the contemporary cinema, right?
Yeah.
All the movies like Water, 1947,
Yes.
Right.
Earth,
Yeah.
all these movies.
Yeah.
So what Karan has done in this movie is he said that you don't need to make a movie like that dry also.
Yeah.
And neither do you need a masala. You can bring them both together, and if the direction is right, because it's a story that most of us have been through, right?
Yeah.
Like I was told, like Alia's father, like why would you dance? And people are not subtle about that. They're like, are you a girl? Why would you dance?
Yeah.
Like, and that doesn't make sense at different levels,
Right.
right? Like dancing is for everyone. If you
Yes.
have body parts that move, you can
Yes,
dance,
yeah.
right? That's just rhythm.
Absolutely.
You just grab onto rhythm. You don't have to be a girl necessarily to dance, right? But I think what he has done there is make it both a really cool masala Bollywood flick, which everyone loves.
Yeah.
Like Ranveer Singh, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Stunning dude. And
Yeah.
stunning, Alia stunning too.
Oh, yes.
At the same time, there's a messaging, right?
Right.
So I think
And there was a lot of messaging.
There's a lot of
It wasn't
so
even just
much.
one,
Right,
right?
so much. And I'm
But
sure
organic.
Yeah, and I'm
Okay,
sure
very
if you rewatch it a couple of times, you'll probably get a different thing out of it every
Yes.
time.
It's on
too,
Prime
right?
now.
So-
I know, I
gotta
was
rewatch
so
it.
excited.
Oh, it is on
Yes,
Prime.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there's so
Gotta
many
watch
scenes
it.
that are deleted that talk about how that show like Ranveer becoming a better boyfriend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like so many deleted scenes. Like the movie was too long, and I think he kept on cutting scenes.
I mean, I could have watched another hour or two of it.
Me
I
too.
know,
It's
because it
long.
was so good.
Yeah, it
So
was so
good.
good. Yeah.
I
for
It's
sure.
been a long time since we've all seen a movie that was like fun
Yeah.
and the messaging was right. It hit everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and similar to what we've been talking about now, and even with what we talked about previously, it's just getting that message across, talking to our community, educating, using your platforms, using our platforms to keep this message going is the only way that we can enact change, right? So I'm proud of the fact that we came together and we were able to openly talk about this. 20 years ago or in India 15 years ago, we may not have even been able to talk about this.
Yeah.
So that's change, and hopefully moving forward, do a lot more of these episodes and keep that content rolling. And again, for our viewers, if you guys have any specific things that you would want to hear, please let us know through our social media outlets. And again, thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thank you for having
Thanks.
us.
Thank you.
This was awesome.
This
This
was
was
fun.
great.